Well, hi my friends, here I am again, and you can see I still have this crazy coloring in my hair. Yeah, nothing I have done has really gotten it out. When I first did the vitamin C mixed with clarifying shampoo and left it on for like an hour or something like that, I thought that it was going to get it out because it actually turned this whole color over here. Um, Kind of like this weird light yellow, and it really wasn't an attractive color. It's not like it looked like a rightful blonde color, but it was just a lot lighter, and I thought, oh, good, it got so much of this out. One more time, and it'll probably be done. I did it a couple more times, and one of the times I left it on for a couple hours. And what I started noticing is that each time I take a stab at trying to get it out, this lightens to a weird yellow color, which looks god-awful on my complexion, by the way. And then as the days go by, meaning like I don't wet my hair or wash it, let's say I just don't wet it or wash it for 5 days, it starts literally darkening slowly each day until it kind of turns back into this coppery, strange color. And I don't know if I'm remembering this accurately, but I kind of recall when I first filmed about this whole mishap that a lot of it had colored into my white. I mean, this is all white over here. It's not white right now, but even up here, my whites were going back longer. I mean, well, they are, but they're just covered with this. And at the time that I made that video, I felt like it looked like I'd only been growing out my silver hair for 4 months instead of at that time it was like a little past 7 because of just how much was actually still looking kind of white. And I actually feel that that's closed in a little bit more. So I've tried different things. There's, different shampoos that are supposed to take hard water deposits out of your hair. I ended up figuring out, putting in a Google search, my well water turned my hair orange and red because I thought maybe I'm not the only one that this happened to, and maybe other people with well water had a problem. So I put that in, and I actually ended up with a whole list of people talking about how something like this happened to their hair, where it was like pink or like reddish or orangish or all these weird colors. And they were talking about iron having done it. And after I had found that information, I was checking underneath one of the last videos that I made about this whole situation, and one of the viewers had actually mentioned that one of their clients had a problem, not with their hair, but with iron getting in the water because of some construction on a bridge that took place. Like, I think she said it was a couple blocks away, or I don't think it was a couple miles away, I think it was a couple blocks. But that apparently even a change within construction can somehow get iron in your water source if it might not have been there. I still don't know if that's what happened, just because none of my neighbors seem to be afflicted with this, and I have had different water experiences with some of my well water than even my neighbors. Like, I've had way worse hard water problems in my home than my neighbors right next door have had, but our wells go to different depths. And so I don't know, but there's one gray-haired person to that side of me whose hair looks totally normal. To that side of me, there's a blonde and a gray with a lot of white in the husband's hair, blonde on the wife's hair. Ran into them in Walmart the other day and talked about this, and neither of them have had any problems in their hair. So I don't know. And like I mentioned before, this whole time I've been growing out my hair, nothing like this has happened. So I'm going to talk about something a little bit strange here, well, in a minute. So first I want to tell you that nothing I've really done has really permanently made a shift. And that's one thing that makes me think that metals of some kind might really be in my hair, because it changes color. Like, it'll be this really funky yellow, and then it'll just keep getting darker until it's like this. And so I was really upset by this, as you could tell by my first video. I was really upset, and then after the second video, I was relieved, and I was sharing with you, oh yay, thank you, I think this is going to work, like, it looks like it's coming out, and to me it seemed like it was this big improvement. But what I didn't know at that point was that it was just going to start darkening again, And since then, I've taken more stabs at it with more vinegar, because that's something that I was reading with some of the research I did. If it's iron, that vinegar could help get it out. People were recommending one of the shampoos that someone had recommended to me under the first video about this, from Sally's. It gets hard water deposits out. It's their clarifying shampoo. I actually had one of the salespeople help me try, because they have different shampoos, like, and they all can seem like they're for hard water. So, and she had suggested a purple shampoo, but the clarifying shampoo didn't touch it. I mean, I washed it 3 times, and when I got out and looked in the mirror, it was the same, and I just wanted to cry at that point. So I've gotten kind of over it. Like, I'm just kind of used to it now. Like, I'm not, like, so upset. I was really upset, like, every few days. I was just, like, so depressed. And I'm just not really that depressive of a person. I've gone through some really hard things that I wish I could cry about, because they were so hard that I had felt that if I could cry, it would be so relieving. And I had read some information years ago that there can be certain chemicals that we get in our body when we get stressed or upset, and that the only 2 ways that those chemicals can exit our body is from crying or intensely sweating. So I knew that I'd been going through a lot of stressful things at different points with some very, very challenging things, and I wished that I could cry, and I couldn't cry. It's not easy for me to really cry. This has made me cry a lot of times, but I'm just kind of used to it now. You know, and I think a lot of my upset about it was just being attached to that image. I mean, it's hard enough where, you know, we get the image of ourselves grown out with the gray hair, whatever that image is, whatever pictures of whoever inspired us to do it. Maybe we saw someone that had a hair texture like ours, and we kind of can imagine, based on what their hair looks like, we can sort of imagine it on ourselves. And then, because we can see that whole entire image in our minds, we finally decide we're going to let our gray hair grow out. And it's frustrating as it is, because that completed image drew us forward, but it's going to take years to get to that completed image, or, you know, depending on where our hair is at. Maybe a couple years if it's here. In my case, many more if I want to keep growing it this long. So that alone is frustrating enough. And then when, you know, I'm at 8 months, like, it's been 8 months since I dyed my hair. And I had to really, like, face that. Like, I'm like, wow, to me, I was like, 8 months, that's so close to a year. That's so close to almost 6 inches, even though it's really not 6 inches. And it's like, you know, looks like this. Was really disheartening for me for a while. But, you know, I'm just like, whatever. I've just kind of gotten used to it now. And I just had to step back and look at my attachments, you know, and that's what part of developing a mindfulness practice is about, or a meditation practice. Any of these things can help a person to learn to step back and just observe their emotions and what they're going through, rather than just to be stuck in it. Like, if you're in your emotions, it's like you're in the ocean and there's like a storm and you're getting tossed around. If you can separate yourself back, you're kind of watching that you're going through this stuff, but you're not as immersed in it, or at least part of the time you can separate yourself back. And if you've never had that experience, a simple way, just briefly, if you want to try it out, is just to stop thinking for a few seconds. Just even like 3, 4, 5 seconds. Just don't think. And notice within the quietness that there's still a presence. There is still a you that is present, and you're looking out your eyes. And you can get a sense of how you're looking out your eyes in a way that's a bit different than when you're just caught up in your thoughts, caught up in your day, going about your time, going about your things, doing what you normally do. And so this is what is referred to, if you've ever heard this, of just being the impartial observer. This is how you do it. You stop your thought, and you just be really present to what's going on. And when you start to notice your different emotions, whether they're good and happy ones or ones that we would rather not have, you can just get to this place where you start to observe. So I got to this place where I was like, okay, you know what? It's really from my attachment of how much I've made it mean to me to have my hair look this way, you know, with the white streaks and the salt and pepper more back here, and how I've envisioned myself to look, and being excited about that, being pulled into starting to let my hair grow out, and then basically having all my white hairs like basically just shrouded over in whatever took place. So now I'm just like, okay, whatever. I just, you know, I look like I'm young and fun and spunky. I put colors in my hair. I didn't put colors in my hair, but it probably looks like I did to everyone else, so whatever. So the other thing, and I'm going to share this here, and, you know, this seriously happened. I'm not sure what to make of it. I got in a meditation. I've gotten different information in meditations at times, and now how razzled I am and how on the go I am. If I don't stop and make time for meditations, I don't really get anything. And also what I'm eating can actually affect what I'm getting, but I mean, that's like another subject, and probably not one that most people here want to hear about. But I was actually told in a meditation that this was not from my water. I'm still not entirely convinced it's not, but I wouldn't have thought of this. So I don't know how else I would have gotten this information, because none of this I would have thought of in a million years. I was told that this wasn't from my water. I was told that this was detoxifying, and I can't remember how the words were. I don't know if it was like metals from the dye or toxins, like the parts of the dye had been lodged like in my skin or something. Like that part was like, it's kind of hazy, like I don't remember that part as well. And that it's coming out, like it's detoxifying out, and it came out from my scalp. Now, what I don't understand is, if this is true, I don't understand why it's stuck in my hair, because my understanding of dye is when you put the two parts together, that there's only so long it can process. Like, you can't leave that mixture once it's been mixed with the developer, when the color's been mixed with the developer. You can't just leave it sitting around for like a week and then go put it on your hair and have it dye your hair. I don't think, I mean, I never have done that, but I don't think it keeps working. It doesn't keep processing. So what I don't understand is, if this is factual, why did it lodge and get stuck in my hair? But then again, I do think they do have metals in dye, maybe. I know they have mercury in there, which is really scary. That's so dangerous. And we're putting it on our heads and slathering in it. But most of the time I dyed my hair, I didn't know it was in there. So I guess if there's metals in the dye, I mean, then why wouldn't that have stuck in my hair any more than if iron had gotten in my water? Then why did that stick in my hair? I don't know. And I was confused when I got this information, because why are other people who have stopped dyeing their hair, why hasn't this happened to them? Like, everyone else is just growing out their hair, and it's just silver and white and gray, and it's fine, and it just keeps going. And what I was told is that because there was a couple other factors for me that apparently most other people don't have going on, is one is that I stopped also pretty much shampooing my hair. I went down to where I got it once a month, which allowed for detoxification of my scalp, in conjunction with the fact that I was already cleaning up my diet. I had already started cleaning up my diet maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. Not that it was really bad, it was still pretty clean, but I'd gotten a little bit out of control. I'd started kind of letting myself slide on things I don't really consider to be the optimum diet, and I'd started to kind of gradually shift back toward what I do consider a more optimum diet, which I have had bodily detoxes from doing that before, and I have had stuff come out my skin, not like weird colors or anything, but I have had toxins come out my skin in the form of a lot of breakouts. When your body starts trying to dump toxins faster than your body can actually really eliminate it, then you can end up kind of feeling sick, headachy, you can have cold symptoms, flu symptoms, breakout symptoms. There's a lot of things that can happen. I have had that from cleaning up my diet. It just never occurred to me that there could be stuff lodged in my skin from having been dyeing my hair, but I guess that makes sense because our skin does absorb. But anyway, Another thing I thought of a few days after I got this information was that, and I don't know if this is related or not, it's just my own thoughts, is that most of the areas where this took place is also the areas that I had those clumps of the new hairs growing in, and I haven't found clumps like that anywhere else yet, although other viewers of my videos have said that they've had clumps growing in different parts of their head. Mine so far have been here, where I've had that major clumping of new hairs. It's all been where these colors are. So then I thought, well, maybe these hair follicles healed more quickly, which started to allow for the new hair growing here maybe first. Maybe it'll happen later, I don't know. And then maybe I also started to dump these toxins if what was said in my meditation was true. I don't really know, but I thought I would share it with you. I'm still not convinced that that's what's happened, but I can tell you that I sure never thought of that myself. And I've gotten information in meditations before, and I have to say that two things have happened. I either end up finding out it's true eventually. Sometimes it takes a little while for me to come across something that I feel is like evidence, or it's kind of still left unknown. I don't think I've ever gotten information in a meditation as to where I eventually found out it was completely unfactual. So I guess I have to consider it at least as a possibility. Definitely share your thoughts with me below if you want. I'm to the point where I'm no longer attempting to get it out. I mean, I was at first, probably the first 3 weeks. I was sad, upset. I was committed to trying one thing after another to getting this out, and I've just kind of reached a place where if it comes out, yay. If it doesn't, oh well. It's just going to do what it's going to do. The other thing that I would say is, you know, try not to make rash moves. I'm going to make a video on that, but I got so spun out, I almost shaved off my hair one day, and I almost broke out with a dye bottle another day because I just was so upset by how I looked. Like, I really like how my complexion looks with my silver, and these colors, all the colors that this goes through, I feel like it makes my skin look a little more sickly. I don't really like it. I seriously almost just broke out with a dye bottle like that. And I would say that even I have seen on the Going Gray Guide, sometimes girls, like, they just get really upset with how they feel they look one day in the transition process. And even if you're not dealing with a funky color like what's happened to me, just growing out the gray in the transition can be kind of difficult. And I've heard of some ladies talk about how they just went and made a rash move one day. Either they dyed it back or they like chopped it all off, and then they weren't happy. So just sometimes in the transition process itself, I've had challenging moments earlier on. If you've seen any of my earlier videos, you may remember me saying, like, there were times where it was kind of driving me nuts, but I never was pushed to almost just dye it like that. I gave it consideration, but because I had thought so long and hard about transitioning it, I made no sudden moves, and I was really glad that I didn't. But it was very easy for me to just hold myself back and stay calm and really think about it before I went and did it. This almost made me snap quick, and one time I thought about cutting it all off, and another time I thought about just dyeing it again. And it was so bad for me that I almost just went and did one or the other in both cases, and it was very hard for me to hold myself back. So I'll talk more at length about that in a future video, but nothing good usually ever comes when we make a move, when we're that upset, because almost all the time we're going to think the opposite way of what we should do when we're that upset. And this is an important thing to recognize in life. We almost always will think the opposite way on even the same subject, from what we will think and feel when we're in a happy, good space. So if you are upset really about anything but about your hair, and you're feeling like making a sudden move, regardless of what's upsetting you, because it's probably not going to be this issue, but the transition to gray itself can be quite challenging, or there could be other things. So my friends, just stay calm. Don't make any sudden moves. You can always choose to take that action on a different day. You don't have to jump and do anything right then, and I would advise don't do that. Think back in your life. Have you ever been happy from anything that you jumped and did that you hadn't been thinking of doing when you were in an upset mood, very upset, and you did something like that? You got an idea that's opposite of what you would normally think, just like that, and you did it. Were you ever really happy with the result? I'm guessing probably not. I don't know if I've ever been. I think I haven't. So try to keep your cool. That would be my big advice out of all of this. Anyway, thank you again for joining me here, and I will have more for you in the times ahead.